Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah. Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakak. I would also like to give a double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone who do well that have taught me this truth. And I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, unto the scattered elect, unto the servants, the prophets, the brothers who are out there prophesying and laboring in this truth and in this doctrine. Unto you I say shalom. This war ain't going nowhere. All right. So this conflict or operation, whatever they're trying to call it over in Iran with the U.S. and Israel, those that know the prophets, all right, those that watch, all right, we know that this war ain't going nowhere. Okay, that this war eventually is going to snowball into World War III, and it's taking some time, but hey, the Lord, what's not going to stop is prophecy. All right, Esau can call as many ceasefires. They can, pull back troops or, whatever they do. All right, Esau is still bound by prophecy. Okay, he's going to somehow, some way, end up in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahawashi, over in the Middle East, along with various other nations. Okay, and there's nothing they can do about it. This war is not going anywhere. You can hear Trump. They can talk about it. They can make a deal. Say they make a deal. Okay, some way, one way or another, and more likely Esau is going to renege on the deal. All right, but these nations, we're not at the point where these nations are just game goofy and don't know what the hell is going on. These nations don't trust E no more. Okay, we way past that. All right, so we're at the beginning stages of World War III. All right, and all it's taken is the major players to get involved: Russia, China. Really that's it. And of course, the NATO and the EU. All right, but eventually they're going to have to flip sides. All right, because what all these various nations that are allies to America, they're going to realize they have a common foe. All right, and why, and how is all this starting? All right, a lot of the world knows that it's the small hats that's bringing America into this. A lot of people here in Babylon, America, know that the small hats are bringing America into this, and that's one of the main reasons that this war is not going nowhere. Because with the IDF and the U.S. military merging, all right, the IDF got say so, and they've always had say so, but it makes it more plain now that hey, this is what we want. This is what we want to accomplish. You had all these various presidents that didn't go in, that wouldn't attack Iran, but hey, Trump is the one to do it. Because we're living in the last days. We're living in prophetic times where prophecy has come to pass. All right, that the major prophecy of World War III is coming to pass. All right, and eventually, along with the other major prophecies like the mark of the beast. But everything is going according to plan. And what's going on? They may just go shoot some missiles back and forth, little fighting here and there. All right, it's even talks of America, Babylon, sending in ground troops. Okay, and once you cross that threshold of putting ground troops on the ground, it enters into a whole different type of war. Okay, so this war may last. We may go another year possibly. Who knows? But it ain't going nowhere. So all you Americans out there is being optimistic that, and a lot of these people, a lot of these Americans, they don't understand what the hell is going on. They catch a small segment of the news, and that's it. They don't know that America's missiles defense over there in Iran and the Middle East has been depleted. That's why they called a ceasefire or an unofficial ceasefire. All right, but the average American don't even understand that we're in a war. They're in a serious conflict. All right, and a lot of these people are going to find out the hard way when the effects of war eventually start to hit home. All right, not just your gas prices or your food prices. All right, various resources. All right, when there's ultimately a real draft. All right, I was doing some research and I was doing some research, and one of the main um, what is it? One of the main dominoes that can fall for it to be a draft is China attacking Taiwan. Okay, and that can eventually lead to them implementing a military draft here in the states, and they already implemented a new law that's going to kick in December, where um, you're going to be automatically registered for the military, the selective service. All right, so all these little YNs running around and they doing this and they doing that. No, Esau about to send a lot of you niggas over there to die in this war. All right, so let me start with Joel 3:1. Behold, in those days, shit, what's up with this mouse? In those days, and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Yahawashi, that's the Levant, the Middle East. All right, and it's the irony. I was just always thinking how that's like the Garden of Eden where everything began, and that's where everything in this world is going to end. All right, I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and have parted my land. Or the Lord is going to judge them, not just plead with the nations, please let my people go. No, the Lord is going to judge these various nations. In Esau, these nations, no one can escape from that. No one can escape their judgment. Okay? Esau can't say, let's do a do-over. Hey, it ain't up to you. It ain't up to Trump right now. Hell, it ain't even up to Satan Yahoo. Okay? He's bound by prophecy. All right? This is Joel 3:9. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you're having the weaker nations like Iran, and they're standing up to the big bully on the block. Okay? And they're able to do that because they have allies that are helping them. China's giving them coordinates. Russia's giving them various coordinates. Hit this target. Hit this target. They have, So this is not no operation or none of that shit that the media Trump is telling you. This is a war, all right. And these various nations are preparing their people, and they're prepared for war. While what is America telling you to do? You look at the news out here, it's just full of folly. The American news is basically entertainment. Okay, you go in there, you get your local news, some national news, then you get the weather report, then you get some sports, then you get some old silly bullshit about the community, and then it's over. Then it's next night it's the same thing, and then the entertainment. While these other various nations, all right, they're preparing their people. All right, they ain't they're giving them information of real information of what the hell is going on in the world. While this American media, which is controlled by the small hats, is dumbing you down. So you don't have a clue what the hell is going on when it happens. That's why the prophets are out there blowing the trumpet, giving you the warning, telling you that World War III is on the brink. Okay? Let me read 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right, the mighty ones, the soldiers, the mighty men of war. Okay, it's going to be a lot of bloodshed in World War III. Okay, and this war is not just going to be. It's going to be ground troops, but it's going to be fought with drones. You see what's taking place. If you're following the news, what's taking place over there in Iran. All right, with drones and missiles, as it says here in Isaiah 9:5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. All right, this is reign of the Prince of Pieces. This is talking about Yahawashi coming back. Okay, when Yahawashi comes back, Yahawashi is when Yahawashi coming back is the climax of this movie. Okay, it's like that's when shit really get down. That's the final battle. Yahawashi being the final boss that you don't get the defeat. Okay. Let me go from there because I said this war is not going nowhere. Ecclesiastes 3, and I'm going to go to I'm going to start at 1, and then I'm going to jump down to verse 8. To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. In order for us to have peace, because everyone, all these bug outs always talk about war or world peace, it has to be war. All right? And Yahawashi, the Prince of Peace, is going to come and give ultimate peace on earth All right, and it's to the world, but it starts with his elect. Okay, well, by giving us peace of mind when we're going to have the law, statutes, and commandments written in our inward parts. Or that's the real peace. Okay, where we we won't sin again. All right, we'll be perfect under Yahawah Yahawashi. Okay, but we're not living in a time of love. We're living in a time of hate. We're living in a time of war. In order to get to peace, we have to go through war. All right, just like King David, he had a lot of bloodshed for there to be 40 years of peace under King Solomon. Okay, and the irony of that is King Solomon is Yahawashi in the reincarnation, so there has to be bloodshed uh, uh, for um, a lot of bloodshed for the Prince of Peace, Yahawashi, to rule forever in peace. All right, but it ain't King David that's gonna come with the bloodshed. It's gonna be Yahawashi. It's gonna be Michael the Archangel. All right, who's going to which is the angel of war. Okay, like Esau has his Department of War. All right, yeah, the Israelites, we have our angel of war, Michael the Archangel, who's going to come back and execute war and judgment amongst these heathens. All right, and mainly Esau. This is excuse me, not Zechariah. I wanted Zephaniah. Zephaniah 3 and verse 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms and pour upon them my indignation, even my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. That's Yahawashi coming back. Okay, to rule on high. All right, to set everything in proper order. Get set shit where it's supposed to be. Okay, take the crowns from all these rulers. All right, and let them know who really rules in the kingdom of men. Okay, not Esau, not Ishmael. All right, not none of these nations. All right, these nations are gonna they're gonna want to bow out of this, but the Lord is going to put the spirit on them to fight because the Lord wants His world war. He said, "It's my determination to gather the nations." Okay, the Lord can just gather a few nations. Like, no, the Lord's gathering all the nations. All you nations that think you bad and big and bad, you got missiles, you got this, you got all this technology. Bring your ass down here and get this ass whooping. Okay, that's what the Lord's saying. All right, ain't gonna be no peace treaties. All right, ain't gonna be no pacts. All right, well, we're gonna sign what is that agreement? They did the nuclear agreement and all this, and Iran wants to make a deal. They want to make a deal so bad. None of that shit, man. We know ain't none of that gonna come to pass. Excuse me. All right, let me grab this. Like I said, Esau thinks that his kingdom, he's going to rule forever. He thinks that, that he can, even though the wicked elite, they want this war, all right, because at the end of this war, they think they're going to, be the phoenix that rises from the ashes and rule again. Okay, yeah, they're going to rise, but they're going to be rising up out of them bunkers to a surprise, all right, and it's going to be men with a superhuman strength and power, all right, slapping them chains on your ass. All right, let me go from there to Revelations. Revelations 11 and where is it? 10, 14. The second woe is past. Behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, this is written thousands of years ago by John the Revelator on the Isle of Patmos. But hey, that third woe is coming. Okay, and it's and it's not at the stage we're at right now. It's not gonna cool down. We ain't gonna have a cool down period. All right, hey, the Lord's about to put this shit in, not this shit, but the Lord's about to put prophecy into full throttle. All right, and all we need is the right event, the right, in Esau's mind, the right false flag to kick everything into high gear. All right, And you may have, the Lord may put the spirit on one of these nations to drop, I won't say a nuke, but attack the wrong nation, where NATO got to get involved. But everything is according to prophecy. Everything is bound by prophecy. All right, the scriptures say the least of the flock shall draw them out, and we see that taking place. The least of the flock, the small hats, are drawing America into this world war. All right, and like I said, Babylon, Trump can't do shit about it. What Trump gonna do? All right, act like he gonna come against the small hats? All right, and then what the small hats got all kind of dirt on Trump and all these U.S. politicians and senators. All right, so all they got to do is just drop some bombshell online, and that's it. That'll send a message to the rest of them that they're not playing around. But like I say, Trump don't got no control. But this war is going to come. It's going to come in our lifetime. It's not gonna. It's not gonna tarry. It's not gonna tarry long. This is Jeremiah 50:9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon the assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her, and and thence they shall be taken. Their arrows shall be of a mighty expert man; none shall return in vain. All right, those arrows are the missiles. All right, none are going to return. None of them going to, there's not any missile defense system that's going to intercept them or none of that shit. Okay, this is prophecy. All right, the angels, the Lord is going to be in those missiles to hit the targets that He wants to hit. Okay, so it's the thing about when we prophesy and we tell our people to give our people a warning of world war and everything that's going on, not to scare them. We're not fear mongering. We're giving you hope that you can be delivered from the destruction, that you can be delivered from the dangers, all right, from the from the destruction, from the second death, all right. But you got to believe. You have to believe on the prophets. You got to believe on Yahawashi that the words that we're saying are faithful and true, all right, and not trying to be optimistic about Babylon, about America, and well, the news says this and the news says this. The news are not going to tell you, all right. The news is not telling nobody nothing because the news wants to keep people in a state of vulnerability, all right, open, all right, where open and pushing shit out there that keeps your mind away from what the hell is really going on. All right, so I just want to make this real quick, to just send that message out there that this war not going nowhere, and eventually it's going to snowball into a global war. All right, where it's nothing you can do but go through with it. All right, and there's nothing these nations are going to be able to do but go through with it. America too, ain't no pulling out. All right. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful lesson. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Shalom.